Well, a good Saturday morning to everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is John Dehart. I am your Executive Director of Sales, Marketing, and Field Development with the Family Vacation Network. I want to welcome you once again to this webinar series, and folks, I got to tell you, I am really excited about this series that we're starting this morning. We're actually going to start a 7-week training series on how to build a massive income with the Family Vacation Network and the skills that are necessary to build that massive income. And so, I guess to get on a soapbox here for a couple of seconds, folks, I'm always amazed at how many people enter our profession called network marketing and think they already know how to do it. And it seems I've had experience of working with some professional athletes in the past, or some high-powered lawyers or doctors that have went to, literally an athlete spends their entire life learning their craft. A doctor goes to, college, to med school, does a residency. I mean, they've got 8, 9, 10 years under their belt to get to the level they're at, but yet when they join our network marketing profession, they think, I got that, I already know how to do it. And then they fail miserably, and then they blame the industry. And so we really want to avoid those pitfalls on this call this morning, folks. And what I want to do is I really do want to cover the 7 skills necessary to building a large income with the Family Vacation Network. And the good news is there are really 7 basics. The really good news is that unlike other professions, you get to earn while you learn. And so when you're constantly learning and upgrading in this, but this is going to give you a rock-solid foundation. These 7 skills are really going to give you what you need to go on to great heights in the Family Vacation Network. So let me just quickly cover what we're going to be covering these next 7 weeks. So skill number one, I should say, is how to find prospects, building that database. Number 2 is inviting people to look at the Family Vacation Network products and business. Number 3 then is presenting our business and our products to a prospect. Number 4 is going to be following up with them. The key, the fortune is in the follow-up. Number 5 is helping your prospects get started as FVN brand partners. Number 6 is helping, become customers, distributors, helping that new one get started correctly. So 1, we want to help them make a decision. 2, how do we launch their business correctly? And that's skill number 6. And then finally, promoting events, building for big events, and how critical that absolutely is in our business. So this morning, we are going to start on finding prospects, building your database, folks. And I've got a little saying, and you'll hear it throughout this presentation: he or she with the largest database wins in our business. So it's how do we build that database and get that database to where it's functional for us to be able to build a business with. And probably when somebody gets started, their number 1 question in the Family Vacation Network is, who do I talk to? Who is it that I talk to? And the answer to that question is obviously pretty much everyone. You want to talk to everyone. And as you'll see as we go through this series, you want to talk to everyone, and you want to put everyone into the system, because the system is the solution. The system is what works for a multitude of reasons. And you've heard me say this before. When people look at our business, it looks good. The real question they ask themselves is, can I do this? And if we show them a simple system where they don't have to be an expert, they don't have to become a travel agent, all they've got to do is use the system, the tools, and the team to build a business, chances are they're going to say, yes, I can do this, and they're going to get started with us. So, but first, who do I talk to? The answer is everybody. And so the number 1, the first skill set is what we call prospecting, and building your list, building that database with the Family Vacation Network. Now in this training, we're going to break prospecting into really 2 categories. Number 1 is your warm market, and your warm market goes for everywhere. It really spans the spectrum of people that you know really well, meaning, your friends, your family, to people that are just friendly acquaintances, people that, you may know somewhat in passing, but you know them well enough that you can run an idea by them. That's what we're looking for. And then the second market that we're going to talk about is what I call the cold market. And really with the cold market, folks, it starts with an attitude, and that attitude is friends or strangers are friends you just haven't met yet. And that's the attitude that you've got to go into the cold market with and expanding your database. But let's start off with the warm market. And again, remember, as we start this training, remember to yourself, he or she with the largest database wins. Period. That's the way it works, because the more people you talk to, look, this is a contact sport. Family Vacation Network's a contact sport. The more people you contact, the bigger your business is going to be. So he or she with the largest database does win. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to start by putting all of the names, everybody in a central location. And folks, let me say this, because I have been guilty of it myself in the past, and I'll tell you, it is the biggest mistake you can make, skipping this first step. You need to get those names in a central location, okay? And so some of you are going to want to use a contact manager software. That is fantastic. Some of you are old school like I am, and let me tell you how I do it. I have a shoebox or a card box, right, that I've got 3x5 note cards in. I've went to Office Depot or Staples or whatever you've got in your backyard, and I've got filing cards, and they say January through December, 1 through 31, and I buy about 6 months worth of 1 through 31s, okay? So I get 6 sets of those, 1 through 31, and I organize that with 3x5 note cards, and I put people's names down on that. First I start on my yellow pad, and I put everybody's name on a yellow pad that I can get. Then I transfer those names and the telephone numbers, telephone numbers, email address if you've got it already, any contact information to that 3x5 note card, and I put it into the filing system, and I start calling. And if, again, you heard me say the fortune's in the follow-up with that person, I'm making notes on that card, I'm refiling them. Every day I pull that out. Some of you are high-tech, and I guess calling a contact manager today high-tech is a little silly in today's world, but you're using contact manager software. That is excellent. And so you're basically doing the same thing, you're just doing it, through your computer. But you want to get at least 500 names. And so the answer is, well, where do I get 500 names? Folks, it's never been easier to come up with those names than right now in today's world, because you've got your cell phone, your smartphone, it's got a contact list in there, right? And so you've got the social media networks, all of the Facebook friends, and I recommend not going directly head on them or head at them, pitching an opportunity on Facebook. This is really about picking up the phone call and calling someone. If we had a little more time, I've got some very interesting statistics about the effectiveness of pitching over social media. Let me just say this, it's not effective at all. And so what is effective is using that to make contacts and expanding your contact list and building a relationship with those folks online well enough that you can say, hey, I've got something I really need to talk to you about, and picking up the phone and calling that person. That's what works with social media. But many of you, I'm Facebook friends with a lot of you already, and you've got 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 Facebook friends already. That's a great place to start building your list from. Pull out your old Rolodex, right, and start building your list from there. And then finally, folks, I like to use things called memory joggers. And a memory jogger is just something, it's exactly what it says, it jogs your memory. So the yellow pages, the old-fashioned yellow pages, great place to start. Who do you know that's an accountant? Who do you know that's an attorney? Who do you know that's a barber, a baker, a candlestick maker, right? You just go through the yellow pages. Take the time to do this step. Your goal is to get at least 500 names. And folks, that may sound like a lot. Let me say this to you. That's the low bar if you're serious about this. The high bar is 1,000 names. Now, let me say a little bit about making this list and growing this database too, because I think it's really, really important that everybody on this line understand how important it is when you get a brand new person started that you go through this exercise with them. Because here's the deal. Most people that get started will come up with a name or a mental list of 3, 4, 5 people, right, that they just know are going to be great at the Family Vacation Network, and they're going to contact those people. Most likely, they're not going to pay attention to what I said in the early part of this, which you got to develop some skills first. They're going to contact those people. They're going to contact them incorrectly. Most of those folks won't do our business because they were contacted incorrectly, and that person's out of the deal because they think, oh, I've talked to everybody I know, and it was 3 people. And so that's where most people start mentally. We've got to get them over that first hump of saying, hey, we got a lot of people to talk to. This is a contact sport. The more people you contact, the bigger your business is going to get. The second group, now those are the real amateurs. The second group are the semi-pros, right? They may come up with a list of 20 or 30, that they write down. That's a good start, but we've got to expand people to professional and seeing this as a profession. Again, contact sport, the more people we contact. So building this list is absolutely critical to the success of somebody's business. And again, this is the warm market list. That you don't have to know somebody well enough that you call them your best friend. They just have to be friendly acquaintances where you can pick up the phone and say, hey, it's me. We met. How are things? I want to run something by you. Do you keep your options open? Have you ever thought about anything else? How's the economy treating you? They're going to complain. Have you ever thought about doing anything else? Because that's really why I called. I found something that looks special, and just well enough that you can run an idea by them that you can say, hey, give me your email address. Let me send you some information. We're going to send fvnmovie.com over to them. They're going to watch the movie. They're going to be able to read a little bit about us on the website. And, folks, it's as simple as that. That's as simple as it gets. And so, we don't have to be best friends with them on this list. We just have to know them well enough to run an idea by them. So that begins really the beginning of your business. And again, if you want to make serious income with the Family Vacation Network, your list is your key. And so really the next thing is that we've got to expand that list. And so, in this business, you really have to have the attitude. Strangers are friends I haven't met yet. If you're shy, you got to get over that one. Okay, that's a limiting belief. If you tell yourself I'm shy, that's a limiting belief that's going to keep you from making big money. You've got to have the attitude, strangers are friends I haven't met yet. And folks, it really is the case. You would be shocked once you get out there and you're doing what I call walking and talking. You're going to be shocked at how friendly most people really are. And they want to talk to you. They're shy too, right? And so if you strike up a conversation, it's non-threatening to them, guess what? Chances are you're going to make a very, very good contact. And I'll even go as far as to say this, that some of my very best people that I've put into network marketing were people I did not know. I got to know them very well after the fact, but I did not know them. I've recruited lawyers, I've recruited doctors. Most of those folks, believe it or not, they were cold calls. They were people that I knew well enough just to have their name and say, hey, you don't know me, but I know you, and I know you're successful at what you do. I've just got one question for you. Are you open? Do you keep your options open? Are you open to diversifying your income stream? Little keywords like that, and most of the time they're going to say, well, yeah, I always keep my options open. What's somebody going to say? No, I'm closed-minded. I'm an auger. No, they're not going to say that. I guess ogre would be the correct word. No, they're going to say, of course I keep my options open. That's how people that make money make money. They keep their eyes open for opportunity. They don't have the blinders on so much that they can't see opportunity. They're looking. That's what entrepreneurs do. That's what people that make money do. And so understand that over the course of the next year, 2 years, 3 years, you're going to probably meet the key leaders in your organization. You don't even know them yet. And that's just the way it works in network marketing. So we've got to be able to expand that database. And folks, I recommend that you expand that database within a structure, right? And that you actually have a little system for expanding that database that you can manage. The key is really just keeping it manageable and having some fun with it. And so again, how do you meet professionals in our business? It's what I call walking and talking. It's cold market prospect. It's out meeting people. Now, You can do this in person. You can do it over the phone. Leverage your time. However you want to do it. We're going to talk about in person today. Over the phone, it works almost the identical way. Maybe you're out driving the neighborhoods, and I've got a really good friend in this industry named Todd Falcone. He built a significant business driving neighborhoods looking at real estate signs. The realtors that had their name, picture, and phone number on a real estate sign saying, call me. Guess what he did? He called them. Said, hey, I'm just sitting here. I'm looking at this house over here. I got good news, bad news. The bad news is I'm not really in the house market right now. The good news is I called to find out, how's business going? Are you open to looking? Are you open to diversifying? Do you keep your options open? Because I've got something that may help you expand your business, and it'll definitely help you expand your income stream. And so in the business he was in, that worked for him. And folks, I can tell you, I've recruited top realtors doing the exact same thing, calling them up. I remember a top realtor in Houston that I recruited and just saying, hey, you don't know me, but I know you. I'm looking at your picture right here in the real estate book. And you know what? I know you're a top producer. I just have one question for you. Do you keep your options open? Are you open to diversifying? And of course, what did she say? Linda said yes. And guess what? I sent her information. We got together a couple days later. She got started in the business, came in with a $3,000 order. I had just met this lady. So folks, it works. I promise you it works. But again, you've got to understand this is a numbers game. And we don't get attached to anybody, that's on the sheet of paper. We're just putting the opportunity in front of them. The best analogy I've ever heard is the waitress or the wait person that goes around in the morning and breakfast. Would you like more coffee? Would you like more coffee? Guess what? Some folks are going to say yes, and some folks are going to say no, I don't want coffee. Does it break that waitress down? Does that wait person go into the back of the kitchen and start bawling? They don't like my coffee? No. They're just going through the numbers. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And in our business, we go through the numbers. This is what we're supposed to do. And one of the best ways of doing it is what I call walking and talking. And so remember, I said, let's put a little structure around the walking and talking. And what we want to do, folks, is what I like to do is make a dual purpose list. Everybody, especially you guys out there, you got the honey-do list, right? You go, honey, go do this, go do that for me. So you got to go out into the world, and you want to make that list a dual purpose list. If I'm going to the post office, my job at the post office is to get a name and a telephone number. If I'm going to drop off my laundry, if I'm going to Starbucks, if I'm out and about, if I'm at the grocery store, I want to get a name and telephone number. And folks, believe it or not, it's pretty simple. Let me tell you a story of a guy that I actually recruited at the post office. And, what I'm looking for here is really a common denominator, okay? So I'm looking for something that's going to break the ice, something in common, that common denominator. And I was in line at the post office, and I look back, I look at his envelope, and he's sending an envelope, a letter to Iowa. Iowa? Well, I wasn't from Iowa, but I was a wrestler, and guess what Iowa's known for? Wrestling. That was my common denominator, folks, and you're going to say, John, that's pretty thin, and I'm going to say, you know what? You're right. It is very thin, but it's as simple as that. The common denominator was, oh, are you from Iowa? No, I'm not from Iowa, but I used to wrestle. Iowa's the capital of wrestling in the United States. How long you lived in Houston? This was a guy I recruited in Houston, and that started the conversation, moved us right into warm with form, family, occupation, recreation, money. Form is the acronym. Family, occupation, recreation, money, right around to what do you do for a living. He was an airline mechanic. He worked for Continental Airlines. And so we talked a little bit about that, and you always say something like, well, that sounds like a way to make a lot of money, or that sounds like a great job. And guess what? At that time, he complained, it's okay. And, started telling me the downside of being an airline mechanic, right? And I asked him one simple question. Do you ever think about doing anything else? Guess what his answer was? And guys, you need to write that one down. Have you ever thought about doing anything else? Have you ever thought about doing anything else? Because chances are they're going to say, yeah, if I could find something. Do you keep your options open? How's the economy treating you? You know, that's a great lead in. They're going to complain, how's the economy treating you? You ever thought about doing anything else after they complain? And they're going to say yes. And then what I want to do is I want to hit them with my 15-second commercial. And this one, folks, has to roll off your tongue. Okay, literally, you've got to practice it. It's got to roll off your tongue because they're going to say, well, of course, what? I'm working with a group of entrepreneurs. They found a way to diversify, add a significant secondary income stream without jeopardizing their job. You think you'd be interested in that information? Bingo. That's it. They're going to say yes or no. Here's the thing. If they say no, I drop it. I don't take it any further than that. Nobody likes rejection. I don't like rejection. And so what I want to do is I'm looking for both doors to be wide open that I can walk through. I do not look for rejection. They say no, I drop it. I never come back to it. You know, I change the subject, that's it. But if they say yes, say, what do you mean? Here's the thing. Now, this is where you've got to control yourself. And this separates the amateur from the pro. Okay? Amateurs pitch them right then. In the middle of the post office, in the middle of the grocery store, in the middle of wherever, they take 5, 10, nobody's got 5 or 10 minutes. Remember, you've got to understand, we've got to be able to step out of our shoes, put ourselves into our prospect's shoes, and say, understand the number one question they're asking themselves is, can I do this? If we pitch them in the middle of the store, are they going to paint themselves into that picture saying, I got to go out and pitch people in a grocery store? No, they're not going to do that. So we've got to control ourselves. Remember, it's not what works, it's what duplicates. Everything is about duplication in our business. And so what I've got to do is control myself and say, hey, look, you're busy, I'm busy right now, I've got to run. Tell you what, give me your name and your work number, especially if it's a lady. They don't want to give you your home number if you're a guy, or give me an email or something. Give me your card. I'll reach out and touch base with you. I'll get you some information over to you. It'll be your chance to sift us and to evaluate us. If you like what you see, we'll take it to the next level. I'll introduce you to some folks. You're going to be blown away at the lifestyle they've been able to create working part-time. And that's it. They're going to get their card, and it's what I call nap them. You get their name and phone number, and you're out of there, right? We don't want to stick around. We don't want to get drawn into answering a bunch of questions. All I'm looking for when I am out walking and talking is a business card, a name and a phone number. That's it. I'm not pitching. I'm letting the system do that on the backside because, again, at the end of the day, they're going to ask themselves one question, can I do this? If they see our simple system, they're going to answer yes, and they're going to get started. If I go through a 15-minute pitch, chances are they're going to say, no, I can't do this, and they're not going to get started. And, folks, it really, really is that simple. So that's what I want. I want to include their name and telephone number. I'm making the list, and then I want to get it out there and get out there, get their number, and then I'm going to follow up with them and invite them to look at our business on the phone call. I'm going to call them up and say, hey, give me your email address. We met. I'm going to send you some information over, and I'm going to go through the steps of inviting that we are going to cover next week. So with that, folks, I want to give you some action items, some things to take action on during this 7-week series. And so there are 2 this week. Number 1, I want you, I don't care if you've been in our business 6 months, you've been in network marketing for 6 years, I want you to make your list. Sit down with that yellow pad, determine whether you're going to use a contact manager or you're going to go old school like me and get that cardboard box, get to Office Depot, get what you need, don't care, get a yellow pad, transfer those names out of your head onto a piece of paper, transfer them from your phone onto that yellow pad, transfer them from your Rolodex onto that yellow pad. Look at who you know on Facebook and their telephone number, put it on that yellow pad, and start making out those note cards, start putting them into your contact manager, start building your database. That is your action item. And then for fun, folks, let's do this. 2 a day, 10 in play. Let's go out and start talking to people. They don't bite. Have some fun with it. Warm with form. Go back through this training. Use some of those key buzzwords, and let's see if you can start increasing your database and cold market prospecting. I will make you a promise that if you do 2 a day for the next 5 days a week, for the next year, you will find at least one of the key leaders in your organization that will go on to make you thousands of dollars every month. If you do this every day consistently for the next year, you'll find at least one key leader. And here's the thing. Have a little fun with it. Here's what I used to do. I went to the grocery store, I bought a bag of dried beans, and every day I'd take a handful of beans, and I didn't come home till I was a has-been. Every time I talked to somebody, I took one bean out and threw it away. And so I started with 2, I increased it to 5, I finally got to 10, and it was my job every day to talk to 10 brand new people. I'd take a bean out, and when I was done talking to them, when I made that name and number attempt, and I would become a has-been. And here's the thing, folks, when you go to bed at night and you got one bean in your pocket, and you get out of bed and you go to the 7-Eleven to find somebody to talk to because you didn't complete your task for the day, that's when you're in FVN. That's when you're in the Family Vacation Network, because it does not matter when you signed up. It doesn't matter when you get into FVN. It matters when FVN gets into you, when you take it that serious, that this is how I'm going to feed my family. So there's your action items. Let me thank you once again for joining us on this webinar. Folks, remember, he or she with the largest database wins. This is the first step. This is the foundation that everything is built on. If you do this correctly, the house that you can build can be as big as David Siegel's down here in Orlando, Florida, which is 96,000 square feet, the largest house in America. You can do that too. So with that, thank you for joining me on this webinar today. John Dehart, join us next Saturday as we're going to go through the skill how to invite, which, by the way, folks, is probably the single most critical skill that you're going to learn. So make sure you're on that call and make sure your team is on that call also. With that, thanks for joining me today. John Dehart, Family Vacation Network. Have a great rest of your weekend. 2 a day, 10 in play, and we'll see you all on the beaches of the world. Bye for now.